Hi everyone. So since I'm not going to make you read about proposals, I do want to give you a short video to go over proposals very quickly. Proposals can appear in memo length or letter length or report length. They can be anywhere from a page to 30 pages long, and it really depends on what you are proposing and how detailed your plans are. In essence, there are two kinds of proposals. When we just say proposal, we mean you are offering a solution to a problem and you are describing that solution and how it solves the problem. So if you want to build something at FIU, to solve a problem at FIU, you would then explain how long is it going to take, how much is it going to cost, who are you going to hire to do the job, how is that going to solve the problem, why is this the most practical solution, right? And that would be a really long proposal that is very detailed. The other kind of proposal is called a research proposal. A research proposal is when you say, here's a problem, here's research I want to do in order to figure out how to do the problem, solve the problem. So for example, a lot of times a research proposal would appear before you wrote a report where you gathered data for that report, right? So you'd say, here's a problem, I don't know if the check-in app at FIU is working. Here's a solution. I want to do research to figure out if it's working. Okay, so that would be like a research proposal. But in both cases, you're identifying a problem or a question, and then you're saying, here's a potential solution or method to get to a solution to that problem. That's a proposal. Okay, in both cases, an introduction is not like what you would think an introduction is like. The introduction will focus on outlining what the problem is that you're trying to solve. What is the situation or question that you have that you're trying to get an answer to or solve in the proposal? So in this case, what do you picture the teachers you're going to address to look like? What do you think they need? What do you think students need? That will be addressed in sort of the introduction to your proposal. And then in the main body of the proposal, 80% of what you're writing for me, you are going to explain what you're trying to do for this project and why you think this program that you want to work on is going to address the needs that you outlined in the introduction. Okay, why do you think this program is going to address the problem that you identified in the introduction? Why do you think it's going to be good for teachers? Why do you think it's going to be good for students? And so on and so forth. So a proposal is essentially a persuasive document. You are trying to convince me that number one, we need to do something, and number two, that this is the thing we should do. Okay, so for example, not in this case, but let's say I was doing a different kind of proposal. Maybe FIU only has $5 million to spend, and they say, hey, send us your proposals for how we should spend the money, and everybody sends in proposals, and then they pick the best ones. They're like, yeah, that's how we should spend the money. All those other people who wrote proposals who weren't as convincing, they did not get the bid. They did not get the contract. They didn't get their proposals enacted. It is a persuasive document. It is in some ways sort of a competition when you are writing a proposal at work because there is finite resources. Your company does not have unlimited man hours. They do not have unlimited money. And they're not going to do every single solution that is proposed to them. So you are always trying to convince your boss, no matter what you're writing in proposal form, that this is worth doing. This is worth spending man hours on. This is worth spending money on. So it is a persuasive document. The way you persuade is by also explaining that you are competent, that you have thought this through, that you understand what's going to go into this proposal. Because even if I believe, wow, that's a good idea, but then I read your proposal and I'm like, man, you have no idea how this is going to happen. It's clear that you have no idea how long this is going to take. So no, I'm not going to invest man hours and company money into this because it's probably going to unravel in the end, right? So you have to convince us that this is a really good idea and that also you have thought about all that is involved in this idea. And that is true of both a proposal and a research proposal. In the example of a research proposal, you've really thought about why this is worth studying. You've thought about how you would study it. You've thought about how long it will take you to study it, right? And in a proposal, you've thought about why building this thing or changing this thing or buying this thing would be a really good idea. And you've thought about how it's going to work, how much it's going to cost, how long it's going to take. And so in both cases, you are convincing us this is a really good idea. And also, I've really thought about whether it's going to work out and how it's going to work out. So for this assignment, I want you to sort of think of it that way. On one hand, you're telling me this is the topic I want to do, but I want you to practice writing it as a persuasive document that here's the problem as I identify it. My problem is going to focus on math teachers, or my problem is going to focus on all teachers at FIU, or my problem is going to focus on English teachers at FIU. What's the problem that affects those teachers and those students in those classes as you see it? And then what is the program you want to teach them to do, and why is that a good answer? And then sort of why do you think this is going to work out well as a project for this class? So justify why I should let you spend the next 2 weeks working on this topic. Okay, so practice. We're just dipping our toes in proposals, but it gives us some idea of what is expected of us maybe in the professional world, and that's why I want you to write it as a proposal instead of like 2 sentences, okay? I've left you questions. The questions are meant to be a guide. You don't answer them in that order. You don't have to answer every single question if it doesn't really apply to you, and you can offer me information that's not listed in a question. Those questions are just sort of a guide to help you understand the kinds of things that the proposal should probably answer, okay? If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I've given you plenty of time to write the proposal, and just let me know if you have any questions, and I'm here for you, okay?